Hello again, and welcome back. We are going to be continuing our discussion in Algebra 1 by talking about order of operations. So let's get started. I want you to remember PEMDAS. Some people remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, to remember the order of those letters, but let's talk about what they mean. The first thing we're going to do whenever we have an expression and we're asked to simplify or evaluate it, we are going to evaluate those operations that are put in parentheses or brackets. So that's what the P stands for. Then we are going to simplify anything that's been raised to an exponent. That's what the E stands for. And then we're going to do any multiplication or division. Now notice that those are at the same level. So it's not M and then D. It's M and D together, multiplication and division together from left to right. All right. Then A and S. That stands for addition and subtraction. So we're going to simplify any addition and subtraction working from left to right. So for example, if we have this long expression here, there's a lot of operations in there, but I think I've incorporated a little bit of everything. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at those parentheses, the 5 minus 3, the 7 minus 2, the 8 plus 1. If I simplify those, the 5 minus 3 becomes a 2, the 7 minus 2 becomes a 5, and the 8 plus 1 becomes a 9. So now I can focus on the exponents, and I've got two of them. I've got 2 raised to the third and 5 raised to the 2. So if I simplify 2 to the third, that becomes 8, and 5 squared becomes 25. Now I can focus on multiplication and division. There's just 2 multiplications in there, 6 times 9 and 3 times 25. 6 times 9 is 54, and 3 times 25 is 75. So those have now been simplified. So now you can see all I have is addition and subtraction. So I add and subtract. I just go from left to right because now they're all at the same level. So 4 plus 8 is the first thing I simplify, and that's 12. Then I do 12 minus 54, and that is negative 42. Negative 42 plus 75 is 33. And 33 minus 9 is 24. So all that is simplified down to a single number, 24. Okay, here's another example. If I were to evaluate 4xy plus x minus y squared minus y to the x, when x is 5 and y is 2, well, the first thing I have to do is substitute those numbers in. So every x is going to become a 5, and every y is going to become a 2. So now my expression reads like this. So let's look at what we have. As far as order of operations go. Do we have parentheses? Yes, we have 5 minus 2 in that set of parentheses. That needs to be simplified to a 3. Now I look for exponents. I've got 2 of them. I've got 3 squared and I've got 2 to the 5th. So I simplify those. 3 squared becomes 9. 2 to the 5th becomes 32. Now I look for multiplication. I've got that 4 times 5 times 2. That's the only multiplication I have. That's 40. And now I can just add or subtract from left to right. So 40 plus 9 is 49, and 49 minus 32 is 17. So all of that, when x is replaced with 5 and y is replaced with 2, all of that is worth 17. So here's some common mistakes that people make. I'm going to talk about what the mistake is, how it looks when it's wrong, and then how it should look when it's correct. So sometimes people distribute into parentheses instead of simplifying. So what they will do is they will use the distributive property. If you don't know what that is, we will be talking about that later on in this course, but they will multiply everything by 5 rather than simplify what's in the parentheses. Okay, so what you should do is actually simplify the parentheses first and then multiply by 5 according to order of operations. Another thing people will do, they will apply an exponent to everything that's in front of it. So they will do 4 times 3 squared. Well, that squared, that little 2, only applies to the 3, not the 4. So you don't really mean to do 12 squared. So don't read those from left to right. The exponent only applies to what's immediately in front of it. So 4 times 3 squared is actually only 4 times 9, which is 36. And that's not 12 squared. Some people will square a negative number incorrectly. Remember, the square only applies to numbers that are immediately in front of it. So that little 2 only applies to the 5, not the negative that's in front of it. Okay, so notice the difference. If I have negative 5 squared, that's negative 25. But if I have negative 5 in parentheses squared, that's actually negative 5 times itself, which is 25. So notice the difference there. That's a big mistake people make all the time. Also, people will multiply before dividing. People think that the m comes before d when they're actually at the same level. Multiplying and dividing are at the same level. So 4 divided by 2 times 5, you don't do the 2 times 5 first. They're all at the same level, so you work from left to right. You do the 4 divided by 2 first, and then you multiply that by 5. And similarly, people will add before they subtract because in PEMDAS, A comes before S, but adding and subtracting is all at the same level, so you work from left to right. You don't do addition before subtraction unless it happens to come first, reading left to right. So this would be incorrect, whereas this would be correct. You just subtract because it comes first when you're reading from left to right. You only do what's first coming from left to right. So those are the mistakes that I've seen and other people have seen, and that's order of operations in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you tomorrow.